All right, so as we were saying with this burnt up contactor here with the bad coil, if you have an accessory relay, you really need to make sure that you have the right component for the contactor that you're using. This being a square D and this being a HC, these accessory relays that get mounted onto the side of the unit, you'll commonly see these on a compressor. And the reason they use the accessory relays is because there's two parts of the circuit. You have the compressor and the cooling circuit, but you also have the heating circuit for the defrost heaters. Nowadays, most manufacturers are trying to stay on a single circuit for defrost heaters and compressor for most walk-in freezers. The reason they're doing that is they're taking up less room in the panel and it's less cost. You only got to run one circuit to the condensing unit. The wiring continues down to the evaporator, and that's the second part. But what they've had to do is they've had to prevent the heaters from working at the same time as the compressors. Why is that? Well, simple amperage draw. If you have 15 amp compressor and 15 amp heaters on a 20 amp breaker, you're going to trip the breaker when you go into a defrost. So the way that these accessory relays actually attach and function is they sit in the side groove of the compressor itself or the contactor itself, and they move up and down with this lever. When they move up and down, they open and close a circuit. So when the contactor is pulled in, the circuit is pulled down, and these two micro switches are forced to the open position. These can be fed to another contactor so that when this compressor contactor is pulled in, the other two contactors, whatever they may be, are not able to function. It cuts the voltage. The only time the heaters can function is when the unit pumps down and the compressor is released and pulls back up. These micro switches can close. Now, you might say, well, why don't you just use the contact points through the same point? Well, we're not closing a circuit, we're opening a circuit. We want to make sure that anytime this contactor is pulled in, that these switches are open so our defrost heaters cannot function and trip the breaker.